First, a real quick and basic review of the fundamental back step as well as the arching type movements. What's really important while you're doing either of these type of movements or techniques is to again remember that notion of the ball and the pop, such that the momentum of our hip, whether it's with the lower part of our abdomen or whether it's with our hip, is going to make our partner travel, and we're going to be putting momentum and force through them. Remember, if I'm doing a back step type throw, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for me to throw an opponent who is very upright. And so as I'm moving my opponent, I need to get them to be moving slightly forward and in a slightly bent position here. On the other hand, if a person is upright and I approach them with an arching type throw, that's no problem. For example, a way to defend against a back step type throw is simply to keep your hips low and keep your hips down and to stay upright and erect. For example, if Colby's going to headlock me and he can get me somewhat bent over, he's got space to put in his hips to throw. For example, again, he pops me up. Notice he manipulated me in a situation, or I was in a situation initially, either way, such that my weight is somewhat forward and I'm not entirely upright and erect here. On the other hand, if he tries to throw me and I stay upright, it's very difficult for him to be able to get his hips through. Also, if I stay upright and lower my hips, that makes it even more difficult, because again, remember, he needs to get his hips underneath mine. And we'll be demonstrating this in more detail, but I do want you to get the notion at this point that when you're manipulating your opponent, whether it's in a close range pummeling situation or a little bit further out where we're just sort of tap and go, but we're in a close enough range to initiate a throw, ultimately we've got to move our opponent such that their chest is going to be slightly ahead of their feet. In other words, they can't be exactly upright, else it makes it very difficult to initiate a back-stepping type throw. Now that's not at all a problem if Colby wants to do a belly-to-belly type throw. If I'm upright, no problem. Here, he can lock and pick me up and throw. So from belly-to-belly position, that's not an issue, and in fact, that's a position that's favorable when your partner is fairly upright and erect, whereas to do a back-stepping type motion and attack, you want your partner to be slightly forward, and you need to manipulate him in that position if he's not already in that position. Again, to defend against a headlock, for example, if I can lower my hips, stay upright, and also the third thing, kind of come around in front a little bit, in other words, go in the direction of his throw so that he can't get his hips through, I have a better chance of being able to defend that throw. So for now, kind of keep in mind both the things you need to do to defend against the throw as well as make a situation more favorable to be able to attack the throw. When you're doing that live, that's important, but also too, it's important to be a good partner when you're practicing and learning, such that make it easy for your partner, for example, to initiate throws when you're practicing on the pad, particularly at the beginning, by kind of leaning forward slightly. Okay, that helps them learn the throwing technique. You're not going to do that necessarily when you're going live, but it's crucial, I think, at first to make it easy on each other to develop your technique. We can do a number of drills to help facilitate our throwing movements and to develop technique. One excellent drill, once at least you develop some proficiency at throwing, and this isn't something you start off doing, but after you've got the fundamentals of some of these techniques that we'll be demonstrating, an excellent drill is to have one person going through, say, a back step. Okay, perhaps it's an arm throw or a headlock, and you have people of relatively similar weight lined up. And the first person's going to approach me, get in a favorable tie-up, and say if it's an arm throw, I arm throw him down to the mat. Immediately after I come up, my next partner is coming at me, and I go again. I'm going to go down to the mat. I'm going to get up quickly. The next partner approaches me. I throw. And that helps you develop some timing. It's a good cardiovascular type exercise in terms of help your aerobic conditioning. And it'll also help you, I think, learn to do the throws quickly without having to think so much about tying up in a real careful and obsessive kind of way, but being able to get that grip and that lock very quickly and efficiently. So that's an excellent type of drill that I'd recommend, but only after you've gotten the basic technique down, because obviously if you don't have good technique and you're practicing poor technique when you're trying to speed it up, you're going to be losing ground over time in terms of your ability to actually get somebody when you're going live. So again, I'm here. There might be a line of 4 or 5 people. One person approaches me. I throw. I go down to the mat. I get up quickly. This person goes back to the end of the line. As soon as I get up, that other person's putting his hand on my shoulder. I throw him down. I get back up. As soon as I'm up, that other partner should be right there. There shouldn't be a lot of time. You'll find that that's an excellent type of drill to practice again once you've got proficiency. You can do the same thing with the body lock too. It doesn't matter what kind of throw it is, but the point is people are literally pelting you, so you have to get that grip and that technique very quickly, and that'll help you develop the speed you need to ultimately get it successfully when you're going live. Another drill which I think is effective, just in terms of learning what you need to do with your hips, and throwing is crucial in terms of learning where your hips are relative to your partner or your opponent's hips, is being able to kind of have a little bit of hip fight in here. For example, if Kobe is going to throw me and he comes through on a headlock, if I do nothing, of course, I'm going to go. Now, one thing I can try to do is I can redirect that by getting in front, keeping my hip low, and try to change the direction of the throw and my grip so that I can re-attack him. So if Kobe comes in here, if I can step around this way, lock up here, I can do a more traditional throw. Now, frankly, those aren't techniques so much that you're going to use a lot in competition. The main point, I think, of that type of drill, and I think it's more important as a drill than something you'd really do offensively because it's a fairly low probability type of event, I think, in a match. But it helps you just learn what to do with your hips so that you can defend against throws. And if you get more sensitive defending against throws, you're going to be more sensitive in terms of being able to get your hip in to be successful when you do attack. So one type of drill is simply, as we talked about before, if Kobe comes in on a headlock, for me to block, okay? I can get my hips low, keep my body upright, and I can also try to come around or cut the angle a little bit and get in front. So again, one option is when he comes in to here, okay? I want to push my hips in, and I want my body to be erect and upright so that when he pops, he's not able to continue through. And now there's a lot of weight I'm going to put on this leg here. Pop here. Kobe comes in here. Okay? If I step out in front, that makes it a little bit more difficult for him even. From here to here. Okay? If I step out and just get a little bit of an angle, because his hips have to travel through, or most of the way through, to successfully pop my hips to throw me. The other option to practice, again, is when he comes through, I'm gonna just make something skip around here. So he comes through, I'm gonna skip. And I'm gonna keep my hips close. Notice I'm loading him up here tight. I've locked his waist to my hips. I'm here. I lock up here, and I'm gonna continue the motion this way. Now, again, some people and some Greco wrestlers are very good throwing from that position. There is a little bit of a problem. Obviously, I don't have that other arm posted real well. So I'm not saying that this is a technique for competition, but it's just simply something that you can work with as a drill to get some sense of where your hip is at, both offensively and defensively. And I think there's a lot of value in that. Similarly, if Kobe comes around to get a body lock on me, go ahead, he's going to pop up, boom, and I go. If I can scoot around the side, I can redirect that throw. That's the drill. So as Kobe steps into me here, if I can step this way, I can continue that throw. Again, he comes in, I'm going to lock, I'm going to step, notice where I'm stepping, I'm going to arch this way. Now again, reality is that in at least a wrestling competition live, in terms of major good competitors, that situation is unlikely to come up because it's hard to be able to move that quickly. But the drill itself, again, I think is the point insofar as it teaches you to move your hips and be sensitive both offensively and defensively to what you need to do to either stop a throw or initiate a throw. Once more, Kobe comes around for a body lock type situation. I'm going to step across and take it in that same direction. Notice there's kind of a circular motion, and I'm loading him back up on my hips.